Hello. In this tutorial I will show you how to change the graphics driver in 3D Studio Max and select between Direct 3D, OpenGL or software. If you want to know about the general aspects of Direct 3D and OpenGL, you can check my others tutorials on www.macrotutorials.com. If you are using the version 2009, you can see which display driver is already using 3D Studio Max. Just looking the title bar. In this place appears the info about the actual API, the actual display driver. Well, change the display driver is pretty simple. Just need to make click and customize on the main menu bar. And then, click on Preferences. Is in the bottom of the list. This will open the Preference Settings window. In this window you find a lot of tabs to configure the user interface and other options in 3D Studio Max. So, select the Viewports tab. In this you find some options to configure the viewports and at the bottom, a group of buttons for the display driver. At the right you find information about the actual driver. This is more detailed than the info you would find in the title bar. You find what display driver you are actually using. In this case Direct 3D. The version of the API, in this case is the 10, and the graphics card info about the vendor and the graphics card and the model. In this case is NVIDIA GeForce 8600 GT. Now, to change the graphics driver and to select another API for 3D Studio Max, you just have to make click on Choose Driver. This shows a window to set up the actual driver, in this case Direct 3D. At the top of the window you can select the versions available for Direct 3D on your system. In this case are available the version 9 and 10, but if your system does not support some one of this, the option will appear disabled. Like this, if for you doesn't appear available the version 10 of Direct 3D, is maybe because you're using Windows XP or older, or you doesn't have it installed, or maybe because your hardware, the video card can't support it. Below this appears the Direct 3D device. You can choose between hardware and software. The default option is hardware. And at least you have installed on your computer the debug version of DirectX, the option of software will be disabled, like this. The third option is the Direct 3D flags. You can choose release or debug. Again, if you don't have installed the debug version of DirectX, the option of debug will be disabled. The debug option is used mostly by software developers. At the bottom of the window you find the button of Revert from Direct 3D and works to choose a different API, another display driver. When you click on it will appears the graphics drivers setup window. This is the window we were looking for. Allows us to choose the API, the display driver for 3D Studio Max, and the options are software, OpenGL and Direct 3D. If you are using an older version of 3D Studio Max it's possible that this window appears the first time you start the program. Now, let's try each one. So, we are going to choose the first one, software. And click the OK button. Now the program shows up this message, telling us what the changes will take effect the next time once we start 3D Studio Max. Then click in the OK button. And again in the OK button, so close the program. And start it again. The next time the program starts, applies the new configuration for the graphics driver. So, 3D Studio Max is now using the software display driver. This API is used essentially when exist compatibility issues in Direct 3D or OpenGL, they're not working properly. This does not use hardware acceleration of your graphics card, but it uses the power of your computer processor to support all the graphics calculations. The objects in the viewports looks a bit different than when you are using Direct 3D or OpenGL, but allows you to see effects like transparency in real time. The quality of lights is not so good in real time, but when you render the scene with all the quality, the results are practically identical to the results using Direct 3D or OpenGL. A disadvantage of using the software display driver is what you can't use the view cube or the steering wheels to navigate the scene. So you have to use the classic tools to navigate the scene. To confirm that 3D Studio Max is using the software display driver, just look the title bar, see, or make click on Customize, Preferences, and select the tab of Viewports. And in the bottom of the tab you can see what 3D Studio Max is already using the software display driver. Now we are going to change the graphics driver to OpenGL. To do it, just click on the button and choose driver, and immediately is launched the graphics driver setup window. And again we found the three options: software, OpenGL, and Direct3D. Just select OpenGL and click OK. Again, the program shows up this message, telling us what the changes will take effect the next time once we start 3D Studio Max. Then click an OK button. Click the OK button at the bottom of the Viewports tab. And now close the program. The next time you start the program, it will be using OpenGL to handle the graphics. When you start the program, 3D Studio Max is already using the OpenGL API as display driver. The viewports looks a bit different than when it was using Direct3D or software. When you're using OpenGL to handle the graphics in 3D Studio Max, this doesn't show some effects like transparency on the real time. But the final results of the render is so good as the results with software or Direct3D. Now if you want to confirm that 3D Studio Max is running on OpenGL, just make a look to the title bar. To see more details about the version or OpenGL, or choose other display driver, click in Customize, Preferences, and choose the Viewports tab, and at the bottom of this, the program show you the info about the actual API, the display driver. And you can see that now is using OpenGL and what version of it. So, now you know how to change the display driver for 3D Studio Max. I recommend you try each display driver and test it, to identify what is better for your system configuration. Like my system runs better on Direct3D, I'll choose it. To make the change, like always, I may click on the button and choose driver. And then appears the graphics driver setup window. And then select Direct3D. When I select this, 3D Studio Max enables the button of Advanced Direct3D. And if I click on it, appears the Direct3D driver setup. And is possible configured Direct3D, as I show you at the beginning of this video. So I select the version, Direct3D, version 10, and the rest of options appear by default, and I leave like that, and just click OK. As always, appears the info message telling us what the changes will take effect the next time once we start 3D Studio Max. Then click an OK button. Click the OK button at the bottom of the Viewports tab, and close the program. The next time that you start 3D Studio Max, this will be using Direct3D to handle the 3D graphics.